So obviously after his performance against Carlos Takam, a lot of people are wondering what should Joyce do with his career next. It was a bit of a weird performance in my opinion. Obviously he got him out of there the quickest that any other fighter has ever got him out of there. But a lot of people have been questioning Joyce if he can actually hang in there with the top heavyweights of his class, and in my opinion I think he can. The reason why I think he can is because if you look at Anthony Joshua, let's just be real, like Joyce has a way better chin than an Anthony Joshua. On top of that, I think he's got way better stamina than an Anthony Joshua. On top of that, he's sparred Anthony Joshua so many times, so he knows him pretty well. So Joyce, I think, could easily hang in there with an Anthony Joshua. Obviously, Carlos Takam is a shorter fighter, he's a slicker fighter, he's a smaller fighter, so he throws more punches, and he's more of a fighter that actually gives you more movement. So he's more likely to cause problems for a fighter that's slow and clunky the way Joyce is. But the fact remains that I think he can go in there and he can actually do something against the top heavyweights, because the top heavyweights are not a small, slick fighter that's not going to be there to be hit. I feel like if you look at Carlos Takam is quite an awkward fighter because he is smaller. He's a fighter that has to literally go down. He's a fighter that's awkward for a Joyce to fight because he is a big heavyweight and he's a clunky heavyweight, and he's a slow heavyweight. But when he's up there against a fighter that's similar dimension to him or bigger than him, he generally does perform well. We saw what he done against Daniel Dubois, so I think he can hang in there with the top heavyweights. Whether he beats them is another question entirely, but I think he can definitely hang in there. Now, there's particular fights that I want to see him in. One fight that does interest me is a fight between him and Hrgovic. Now, Hrgovic at this point probably doesn't have the profile that Joyce has, because Joyce's resume for only 13 fights is quite impressive. He's beaten Berman Stavern, he's beaten Carlos Takam, he's beaten I think Brian Jennings. I mean, he's beaten Daniel Dubois as well, an undefeated Daniel Dubois. And that win may age very well, because if Daniel Dubois goes on to become a top heavyweight within the heavyweight division, if he goes on to become a very good heavyweight, then Joyce's win against him is going to look even better. It's going to look even better. I mean, it's going to look incredible because of the fact that he's beaten him already. Obviously, if they were to fight 10 years from now, when I don't think an immediate rematch would do them any good at this point in time, because I think Joyce is just levels above him at this point in terms of experience, in terms of everything. He's just levels above him. But if they were to fight a couple of years from now, I would actually favour Dubois, because obviously he's got the age advantage on his side. He's a younger heavyweight. He's got more time as well to mature and such. But that win against Dubois, I think, in my opinion, may age very well. If Dubois goes on to do great things in his career, then Joyce being the last person to beat him is just going to make Joyce look even better. Now, Hrgovic, I believe he fought Hrgovic in the amateurs and he beat him as well. And so a fight between him and Joyce in the pro ranks will be interesting for me. Another interesting fight for me is him versus Usyk. Now, obviously, they fought years ago. You can actually see on YouTube, they fought years ago for the WBSS series, and we saw what happened there. Literally, Usyk beat his brakes off. But the fact that Joyce is still game and he wants to fight him again says a lot about Joyce. He says how game he is as a fighter, that he's willing to go in there and fight the likes of basically fight someone who beat him quite decisively when the last time they fought. So yeah, it says a lot about him, like how he is as a fighter, that he's willing to go in there and he's willing to fight someone who's beat him quite decisively. Another interesting fight is a fight between him and Tony Yoka. Now, Tony Yoka actually fought him in the Olympic finals, and obviously he beat him quite. A lot of people dispute that decision. They think that Joyce actually won that particular fight. In my opinion, I think Joyce won it by a point. Now, I think a fight between them two in the professional ranks will draw a lot of interest. You've got both of them are Olympians. Both of them are somewhat marketable. Obviously, Tony Yoka is probably more marketable than the Joyce is, because Joyce doesn't really speak much. He's got, like, a lot of people do like him, but at the same time, he's quite awkward, both in his personality, the way he carries himself outside of the ring, and also the way he fights in the ring. Like, he's not the traditional. When you think of an Olympic gold medalist or Olympic silver medalist, you think of this slick fighter who's able to who's very talented and who's very sophisticated in his and advanced in his skill. When you look at Joyce, you don't really see that, but when you look at Tony Yoka, you do see that. You do see a fighter that's like very athletically gifted. He's got a lot going for him in terms of physically, his physical dimensions. Tony Yoka is literally what you, if you're thinking about what you would see in your head when you think of an Olympic gold medalist, you would think of a Tony Yoka, you would think of an Anthony Joshua. You probably wouldn't think of a Joyce, because just in terms of his style and the way he carries himself, he's not that type of fighter that you would actually think of. But ironically, Joyce, even though he doesn't carry himself the way you'd think a champion would carry himself in terms of the way he looks, his style, he has achieved a lot in his career. I mean, he's beaten Hrgovic. He arguably beat the likes of a Tony Yoka as well. So in my opinion, he's got a lot of things going for him. One fight that makes the most sense next for him, I think, is a fight between him and Dereck Chisora. Now, when ironically, when Joyce was had David Haye as his manager, and he had also David Haye also managed Dereck Chisora as well. Ironically, after that, they tried making that fight between Dereck Chisora and Joyce, and obviously Dereck Chisora turned it down because I think at that time he made the right decision to turn down Joyce, because I think Joyce would have, if he would have lost to Joyce, who at that time had less than 10 fights, I think it would have looked really bad for Dereck Chisora. He would have looked really past that. And I think at that fight wasn't too far away from the Caballero fight that he had, where he didn't look too good. So in my opinion, if he would have fought him then it wouldn't have looked good. But at this point in time, Joyce is after his win against Dubois, and obviously he's won all these titles, European titles, Commonwealth titles, British titles. His profile's gone up. He's got himself a resume. He beat Berman Stavern. He's beaten several good fighters. If he was to fight him now, it would make sense, because both of them are in a bit of a career crossroad at this point. So I think that's the best fight for him to make next. Obviously, he was in the stadium at that time when he beat Carlos Takam. So a fight between him and a fight between him and Dereck Chisora probably does make a lot of sense. It's a fight that could easily sell, and it seems like Dereck Chisora was interested in taking that particular fight. So I think it's a fight that I'm actually looking forward to if they do actually fight. In my opinion, I think Joyce beats him. I think Joyce he's just way too sophisticated at this point. He's got way too much momentum going his way, and I feel like he's a bit more fresher as well. He's not really taking that much damage, and I think there could be a good chance that he stops Dereck Chisora. If he doesn't stop him, then I think there's a very good chance that he can actually he beats Dereck Chisora via late stoppage. Maybe it could happen, or he could just beat him by decision. But anyway, getting a win over Dereck Chisora at this early point in your career is quite impressive. So yeah, that's my opinion. Tell me your opinion. Who do you think wins between them two? If they were to fight, and what do you think? Who do you think Joyce should fight next? Would you look forward to a Hrgovic fight, a Tony Yoka fight, a fight with Usyk, a fight with Anthony Joshua, a fight with Tyson Fury, a fight with Deontay Wilder? Who do you think Joyce should fight next? And like and subscribe to the channel. I've got a lot more content coming your way. Peace out.